Hey, Mrs. K's class. It is Mrs. Kasperzik coming at you live from my basement. It's Monday, April 13th. I just wanted to go over the class schedule that was posted on Dojo yesterday. And I wanted to give you a heads up as to some materials that are being released today on my MCPS for Math that are going to be due at 2 o'clock Wednesday. So they need to be completed before class 2 on Wednesday. And also just wanted to go over what our schedule looks like for the rest of the week. So as you can see, today there is no school. We are still on spring break and we will not have a live class this afternoon. However, there were some materials that were released that need to be completed before class on Wednesday. So I'm going to go over here to my MCPS classroom. We're going to take a look at those materials. So as you can see here, we now have week 2. Week 1 we are done with. It's down here. It's been moved. We want to focus only on week 2 for now. Before class on Wednesday, your child needs to do the following. They need to view the video link, and that's here, and the link you just click on. Next, after they've watched the video, and that's important because that's going to be the basis for how they complete the independent work in the problem set, you're going to click on problem set here. And then you're going to see down here, this is the problem set that your child needs to complete before class on Wednesday. So a few options. Number 1, you can click up here on this link, and that's going to bring you to a PDF. That is a file that you can print off of your home computer. And your child can go ahead and they can complete the work on this paper that you've printed off that way. If you do not have printer access, like right now my printer is being all sorts of crazy and only letting me print off certain things, you can have your child use just a scratch piece of paper and write their answers and do the work that way. The important thing is this. I want your child to enter their answers into my MCPS, and I'm going to show you how to do that in one moment. So one of the options is I can go back to the math dashboard, or I can just click on this next button here. And that's going to bring you to this. And it says take a quiz. This is not a quiz. All this is the problem set broken down question by question. And what this is going to do, it's going to allow me to be able to see the answers your child got. And it's going to allow me to be able to see, well, you know what, our class did really well and they just aced all these problems. Or, I noticed that, for example, problem 2, a lot of kids struggled with. So I know that on Wednesday, I'm going to have to go back and I'm going to have to reteach that problem, or I'm going to focus my instruction around that concept. It allows me to be a better teacher to your child. It says take the quiz. It's not a quiz. It's not for a grade. So please, 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 please don't get caught up in that lingo. It's just the way the program works what I had to work with. This screen's going to pop up and it's going to say that once you've submitted an answer, you will not be able to change it later, and you'll see why in one moment. So I'm going to click begin. And as you see here, it is legitimately the problem set just broken down question by question. Question 1, write a repeated addition equation to match the picture. We're going to go ahead and take a look at each group, and we're going to count the number of objects in each group. And then we're going to write an addition equation to reflect that. So in the first group here, I have 3 objects plus another 1, 2, 3 objects plus another 1, 2, 3 objects plus another 3 objects here. And that gives me the sum, so I put equals, and then I type in the sum. But we're going to pretend that maybe this student wasn't taking their time or miscounted, so they put 15, not the answer. And that's okay, because I'm going to show you why in a moment. And I'm going to click next. Now, the reason I have the option to not allow the students to go back is because this is the answer to that previous equation. Now for the next part, I need to group the add-ins into pair to show a more efficient way to add. All that means is I'm going to partner these guys up. So 3 plus 3, I know that equals 6. So I'm going to write 6 plus 3 plus 3. What does that equal to? 6, the equal sign, and then the total. And I'm just going to pretend that I wasn't counting correctly and I put 13. And then I'm going to click next, and it's going to take me to the next problem. 4 groups of how many equals 2 groups of how many, and I insert my numbers there. For the sake of everyone's time, I'm going to go ahead and click submit quiz. And what's really cool is it's going to tell me, well, wait a minute, you haven't looked at 11 questions. So if you see that or your child sees that, you would hit cancel. But I'm going to click OK. I'm going to submit it anyway. So now what's going to happen is, number one, this is automatically scored, and those scores automatically hit my computer. And it flags which questions students did well on, and then it tells me which questions students need additional support on. So that's a really cool thing for me, and it helps my planning. It also is a great tool because it shows what your child answered, and it shows what the correct answer would be. Now you see here there are two answers. I have to input it that way depending upon how children type the answers. But again, the answer is just 3 plus 3 plus 3 equals 12. So you can sit with your child and say, how do you think we made that mistake? Or why do you think we made that mistake? Again, down here, I need to put the correct answer. It shows me what the correct answer is. So it's a really great immediate feedback tool for students. Down here, well, I got it wrong because I left it blank. This is what the correct answer would have been. So now, once I'm done with that, I've reviewed my work. I'm going to scroll all the way down here to the end, and I'm going to click on Next. And that's going to bring us to the discussion question. Your child needs to read the discussion question, and then they need to answer the questions that are shown here. The way they'll answer is by clicking in the reply box here, and then they can either type their response, this is my response, or they can go up here and they can click in the record upload media, and they can either do a voice recording or a video recording. And then once they're done with that, they'll click post reply, and it shows up there. And then they'll click on next. Now you're going to see this next video, or this next, well, it is a video. It's called English Language Development Lesson. This is an optional lesson for students who, this lesson is intended for students who receive ESOL supports. You will know who you are because Ms. Howard or Mr. Lin will have contacted your family to talk about this. If you have not heard from either of them, then you don't need to worry about this. However, I will say it is a great resource kind of as a reinforcement skill. So if you noticed your child in that previous assessment maybe got more than 2 problems wrong, then you could say to them, hey guys, we're going to go and we're going to watch this video and we're going to kind of work through the problems. Then if you do click next, it'll take you to week 1, and it says Wednesday exit ticket. And that quiz has already been locked because that's from last week. So if you get back to week 1, then you're going to say to yourself, okay, well, we're done here. And you can always click on home, and then you can revisit as you need be. So that is math. It is due Wednesday at 2. If we go back to our schedule here, you will see for Tuesday, April 14th, first of all, I have office hours. That means if you have any questions or concerns regarding, what's been going on, you're confused about an assignment, your child needs a little more help in one of the assignments, you can contact me between 9 and 10. I will be right at my computer. You can contact me on Class Dojo, or you can send me an email, and I'll get back to you within that time frame. Below that, you'll see on my MCPS classroom due today at 2 p.m. Students read the Underground Railroad on Benchmark and then complete the follow-up from last Tuesday, which feels like forever and a day ago, but it was April 7th ELA lesson. And I'll get back into that in one moment. As you can see, for the rest of the week, we have live lessons from 2 to 2:45. No specials this week. We go on an A week, B week schedule. So last week we had specials. This week will not be our week for specials. The upper grades will have specials. We'll return in week 3. So I'm going to go to reading just as a refresher for what the expectations were. In week 1 on, Tuesday of last week, we learned how to log into Benchmark Universe. If you ever have any questions as to what we did in a lesson, you can always go back to Class Dojo, and the slides are always posted immediately after we're done, and you can always review the slides that way. But what we did is we learned how to log into Benchmark Universe. So all you would do is click here, and it will bring you to the Benchmark login. Now, you do not need to worry about this username and password part. You're just going to click on sign in with Google. And then your child will either, if they're signed in to Google under their MyMCPS account, it'll go immediately to where they need to go. If they're not signed in with Google, like let's say maybe you have a personal account that's signed into Google, you're going to have to log out of that account and then sign in this way. So I'll click sign in with Google. And it should take me, yep, it signs me in and it takes me to my account, which looks a little different than the kids' account. But you'll be able to go in and it'll bring you in. Again, you're going to go here, Benchmark Universe. You want to sign in with the normal sign in that your child would use to get into MyMCPS Classroom, which includes the @mcpsmd.net email address, and then their normal MyMCPS password. It's a 6-digit number, I believe. Yes. No, I'm sorry. It's whatever they would use. I believe it's probably 6 letters. Whatever they would use for Google to sign in for MCPS. Let's just put it at that. So then once they've gone in, and the resource that they were given to read is the Underground Railroad, and it's all there for them in their Benchmark Universe login. I'm going to hit reset student. There we go. Unfortunately, because I was on math last, it's going to kick me out. So I'm going to go back here to MCPS Classroom. I'm going to click on my courses. Oh, perfect. So that brings us to what do they need to do? So your child, after they've read the Underground Railroad, which is found under the assignments in Benchmark at least 2 times, they need to tell what the main topic of the book was. Again, this is all addressed in the slides that were posted after last Tuesday's lesson. So if your child is, needs a quick little refresher, go back into those slides on Dojo from Tuesday's lesson. And then they need to provide at least 2 facts they learned about the main topic. This needs to be submitted in MyMCPS by Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So if I go here, let me go home to reading, and I'm going to click on student view, what it would look like for the kids. They would click on Tuesday, the Underground Railroad follow-up, and then again, the same instructions. And then they're going to click here under submit assignment. So they would type the main topic was, and then whatever they felt the main topic was. And again, parents, you can guide, but please don't, give them the answer word for word. It's a part of my job as the teacher to understand what they got out of the lesson and what they're understanding. So if they're not doing it 100% correct, you can guide them, you can, give suggestions, but please don't do the assignment for them, because that's a really good teaching point for me in saying, oh, well, they understood what the main topic was, but they didn't quite understand what the facts were. They got the facts, but they didn't understand what the main topic was. And we can talk about that in the follow-up class. So then they're going to write their 2 facts. 1 fact was this, or one thing I learned about the main topic was this. Another thing I learned, or another fact I learned, let's use the language, about whatever the main topic was da 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 da. And then period. Once they've written it, or again, you have the option to click here and do record, upload media, where they can do a voice recording or a video recording. They're going to click submit assignment. And make sure that your child rereads what they've written before they click submit assignment. So then, once it's been submitted, you'll see, ta-da, submitted, and then it comes straight to me. And thank you to my friends who have already completed that. If it's not been completed, it's not the end of the world. If it's not been completed yet, it's not the end of the world, but you want to get a start on that because it is due, again, Tuesday at 2. So, as a refresher, no school today. Math has been released though, so if you want to get a head start, go for it. But it's not due until Wednesday at 2. Tuesday, I have office hours. Students need to complete the ELA assignment by our lesson at 2. Wednesday, we have a class meeting at 8:45. Students need